expecting. We are not expecting Al for this meeting tonight, but he will be at the council meeting at 7. So I will call the meeting to order at 6:02. And first item on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to address the committee. There's no one here. So I'll move on to staff reports, including S&P Global Ratings.
Yes, so I'm going to handle this meeting, but then I expect that we're going to shift right over to Amanda.
You look lighter already.
I do. I feel like I've lost a whole weight. So this is the ratings report that we had done back on May 4th, before we sold our bonds, the bonds and the notes. We had a really good, actually a good meeting. I think at least an hour or so, went through a lot of things. Our financial advisor, Bill Lindsay, always helps us put that together. Talked a lot about development up at Four Corners, management policies, fund balance growth, all of those things. So they basically confirmed our AA stable rating. And for the bands, it's an SP1+. And honestly, I'll be very honest with you, I'm not quite sure what that means. So, but I assume it's in line with a
Plus is
AA
really
stable.
good.
Yes, plus is good, right?
Unless there's a plus, it's not quite, it's even better. I never can figure out what these things mean.
Yeah, yeah. So looking, you can read through the details, but those were the things that we really highlighted for them. Particularly all the policies we've updated in terms of management, the growth, that sort of thing. Under outlook on page 3 of that, stable outlook reflects S&P's view of our strong reserves and management, as well as local revenue growth and stability provided by the presence of UConn's main campus. So all of that sort of just reaffirmed what we've had. On the next page, they always tell you, this is what might impact you. If this were to happen, you could go down. If this were to happen, you could go up. There's no indication that we are doing either of these. But we're familiar with what these two conditions are. And if our reserves were to significantly decline, then that could bring the rating down some. We've worked really hard to build that fund balance, and it's paid off. What could bring us up is if we had a higher income level for the community overall. But the problem with that is because of the university, that's not going to happen. So, we pushed, I've been pushing for a long time to get our fund balance up. We finally got that up to where we were, and they're saying, yeah, but we still can't raise it anymore just because of the income level. We could go down if we were still at 5-6% fund balance. I'm sure we wouldn't be at this rating.
Is there any way of identifying students' earnings and having a second number that is long-term residents?
You're saying, is there basically a way to have our median income or whatever look a bit better absent the?
Yeah, a real median income as opposed, and we don't need to claim it as our formal one, but as a footnote.
Yeah, I don't know what S&P, whether or not they would, if we had data, but we obviously didn't have it, they weren't asked for it, but let's say we had it, whether or not they would do anything with it, or basically say, well, you kind of can't cherry pick, you can't count the students when you want to, and then not count them when you don't, and so.
And they have specific sources that they go to for these figures.
Right,
So,
yeah, I was gonna say, your data is very nice, but we're gonna
Yep.
trust this.
Yeah.
But it's worth asking. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if we extracted everybody who lives on campus, you still wouldn't get rid of all of the full-time students, but we might have an opportunity to have a more realistic notion of what the community is actually earning.
right. Interesting. Jennifer, I might wonder if Jennifer might be able to drum up some numbers.
Yeah, I know
on
we don't
that.
have, because we actually went through a similar exercise. We actually, trying to remember precisely what the Department of Education needed it for, but we just responded to the Connecticut Department of Education request for isolating the nothing to do with income, but just the head count, the number of
Mhm.
non-students that live in town. And so basically with UConn's help, because we don't have our own head count, what we have is the census data, and then whatever numbers UConn has, you subtract it out and you're left with everybody else. And so it's
But
not
is the
even,
census data actually reflecting exactly the university numbers? I thought that it's sort of,
it should, I mean, how, yeah, so
Yeah.
our 25,800 and
understand.
whatever, that in theory, that. I mean, definitely includes that you could get into, because census data is always a little flawed, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that definitely, because it's about 16,000. We believe, UConn believes, 16,000 students, graduate and undergraduate, that live in Mansfield, whether they're on campus or off campus. This is how you can slice into how many are undergrad versus grad, how many are on versus off campus, how many are on or off, but still in Mansfield versus commuting over from Wyndham or wherever. So we think there's 16,000 students, so it leaves basically 10,000 people in Mansfield that are not students. So if you lifted UConn out of it, just disappeared. In theory, we're a town of 10,000 people.
in Block Island, every January 1st, they have everybody come into town for a head count. But I guess that's sort of outside of what we.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of concern because when they were doing the census, it was the middle of COVID and the kids weren't here.
That's
So
right.
we thought it might
They
crater
made
out.
Well, they made a
Right,
adjustment.
right, they made exactly made an adjustment.
I mean, they could certainly handle the number of beds on campus. They could count those.
Right.
The problem is how many people who live in town left.
Right.
I should think.
Mhm.
All right, so
Okay.
we will look into that. Anything else in staff report?
I think so.
Yes, that's it.
The next item is to approve our minutes. Terry, would you make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Moved by Terry, I will second. Any discussion? All in favor? raise your hands. Minutes are approved, okay. We don't have any old business. Terry, would you make a motion to add the agenda item?
It's an additional proposed capital improvement program.
Yeah,
adjustment.
maybe to adjust the agenda to reflect the additional proposed capital improvement that was emailed to us.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. So the first item of new business is the proposed transfer of uncollected chief expense.
Yes, so we do this every year. This year, the additions to the suspense book total $49,072. As the memo says, the majority is motor vehicle account bills that we can't locate or personal property accounts. We have some mobile homes that have a court-ordered abandonment on them, and in that case, once that's been approved, we can't collect the back taxes from any new owner or the park owner. So we have a few of those, and a few businesses that have closed up or have been dissolved by the Secretary of State's office. And typically, we can continue to collect on these taxes, and we do. We'll continue to look for them through many means. Google has actually proved to be fairly helpful in finding people. But we will collect about $12,000 to $15,000 in outstanding suspense interest and fees each year. So this just gets them off the official receivable list.
Most of these are quite small. There's a still pretty small, but a larger number for business like Quester's Way.
Mhm.
Is there an opportunity if there's a going out of business, someone files for bankruptcy, or if it's a chain or whatever, to try to collect in a more direct way on some of the larger bills?
I think it depends on the process that has happened and how far they have gone in the bankruptcy. But we do follow, if we get notification of a bankruptcy, and we get them periodically, and sometimes we have no receivables from them. But we do typically follow up if we get a notification. Send that to the revenue collector.
Now, these are these were originally owed in 2017.
They
Some
were
of them, it depends on the year. Right, or these are all from the.
seeing a typo. Heather.
Well, there's some 2020,
No,
there's some
bulk of
others
them-
later on, that are- but the both of them are 2017.
And so it looks like someone like Quester's Way actually owes several years worth of taxes,
That's just the. old one.
$15,000 or $16,000 worth.
Plus the 18% of every year, so
Mhm.
they just mushroom.
Mhm.
You said you got a typo, Sherry?
Yes, in the motion, the amount was not updated from last year. So on the agenda item summary,
The $78,000 numbers.
yeah,
Do we have it down?
it should be
That's,
49,
Okay, then that, yeah. say this
oh,
as a calendar table.
72,
Yeah.
33.
why the difference?
It changes, and I want to say that last year, although I didn't present last year's, it's possible that they had a year where they did not do this.
So it would've been
There
kind
were
of
some things that
doubled
slipped
up.
by the last couple of years, so
I see.
it's possibly they did that, or it could be something specific. But in general, it's around this number.
So the correct number is 49,072.
72.
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions about this? All right, Terry, would you make the motion with the new number?
Sure, I will need help after I get past the 49, but you have it? Okay, thanks. Move effective June 13, 2022 to transfer $49,072.33 in uncollected property taxes to the Mansfield Property Tax Suspension Book as recommended by the Collector of Revenue.
So this will be a recommendation to the
To the
town
town
council
council.
to approve.
Yep, I will second. Is there any discussion? If not, then all in favor? Raise your hand. Passes. The next item on our agenda is the proposed capital improvement program adjustments. We should have all received a
One was in the
update.
packet.
So this packet, there's one in our packet around the Historical Society, and then at our places and in our emails is one related to DPW. So why don't we start with the one in our packet and talk about DPW.
So I think, and Sherry can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but basically when the State Bond Commission, the grant dollars that are being administered by DECD, when the town council was basically scripted a motion to accept those, it should have been basically a two-part motion to accept the funds and approve the appropriation for this purpose, but because it only accepted the funds, technically we've received funds, but you guys haven't appropriated out for this use, even though you already know that's what the use is. So this is just a little bit of administrative cleanup.
And this way, it also takes into account the local share, which
Yep.
is 50,000. So we moved it out of the general building kind of, we're taking it out of the general building repair account.
Previously accepted 834,000.
Mhm.
So the grant from the state was 834, and
Correct.
our matching is our 50.
So you would
Right.
be authorizing the use of up to 880.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, why don't we do the motions together? You can talk about the second one.
So this was a late addition. My understanding is we have, was it a transmission that went? Yeah, with the bucket loader. And so DPW being aware that we were acting on this today, because I think this happened like just in the last couple days. Kind of like let's sneak in our place in line here. And so basically, while money that was appropriated for replacement of a large dump truck would be used, it's basically just sort of a IOU. The money that would be used for the dump truck next year will be used to, will be used to backfill. So it's basically just using available funds this year to cover the bucket loader need right now. And then the bucket loader would be made whole the following subsequent year. So it's just sort of a being.
And is that in the budget?
Yes.
Right, we just want to be able to get it in before June 30th, want to get this ordered as soon as possible.
Yeah, prices go up on July 1. in the Public Works, so we'd like to get it as soon as possible.
So that's this thing. And yeah, we wouldn't be, because there's no action to be taken on the dump truck now, we're not losing out by waiting for those funds to be available next fiscal year. We have to wait till next fiscal year anyway.
All right. I move to recommend to the town council effective June 12th, 2023, to approve the adjustment to the capital projects fund as presented by the Director of Finance and correspondent. Am I got the right one here?
Yeah.
Yes,
Dated June 8th, 2023, and you also want the other one, right?
And June 12th, 23rd, yeah, I would say.
Oh, sorry. And you,
Just do one motion, I would say.
okay,
Correspondence dated June 1st and June 12th.
Nathan.
Your name. Yep. Right. June 1st and
June 8th and June 12th, two different memos.
June 1st and June.
Oh, it is, oh,
wait, the one I'm reading right now about the bucket loader is June 12th.
oh, I'm looking at the, sorry,
And the correspondence for the other one is dated June 1st.
yes.
Okay.
Got it.
So good.
For correspondence, June 1st and June 8th. Yep.
Yes, I will second. Is there any discussion about that? No, all in favor, raise your hand, okay.
I mean, the Historical Society.
That's part of it. That was the June 1st correspondence. We just did it in one motion.
Right.
All right.
Communications, other business, future agendas, I guess other business, is there an update about the state budget? I know you're gonna, it's probably in your manager's report. We have,
Actually, it isn't. I should say.
we are getting more money than we anticipated
Yes.
slightly, correct?
It's about $600,000 more in pilot funds. So
Per
the gov-
year,
for each year of the, right, it's, I mean, it's
Mhm.
what, 640, 50,000, something like that, so. And I'm saying that based,
Insignificant.
I'm saying based on the governor's recommended budget, which is what we use for our
Yeah.
budgeting purposes.
Mhm.
So the 3% escalator or something
Mhm.
was layered on top of the governor's budget, I think, as well, so. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, had the mill rate not been set, then we would have
Mhm.
taken, but.
Well, this will allow you, I
What
mean,
you did.
depending on what, if you were to appropriate any of those monies, you have that option, but if you don't, it would roll into fund balance,
certainly
which would
replace what we
therefore
used.
replace what we used of fund balance. I think we
Yeah.
that's
included,
very nice, yeah.
So there'll be options. I mean, right now, we
Right.
don't have to, but, right, whether it becomes year-end funds in 24 that we use for sort of unplanned purposes, or
If another transmission goes, we have the money for that.
that's a lot of transmissions. Prices on transmissions are going up, not that fast though.
Or somebody has gets another tree, the way they did a couple of years ago.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else for future agendas?
I would just note here that the next finance committee meeting, I think, bless you, July 10th, I think. The vision for that is to replace basically the finance committee meeting, and instead, I believe it's going to start at 5:30, run from 5:30 to no later than 6:45. So there's a little bit of a break before the start of the council meeting. Our partners, our consultants we're working with on the financial sustainability strategy for Parks and Rec. They're going to be in town for a few days doing stakeholder forums and additional engagement work. And so they want to do a focus group, kind of like we participated in before, except that was more the vision of Parks and Rec. This would be specifically on the financial sustainability strategy. So essentially replace the regular finance committee meeting with a full council meeting before the meeting.
Cool.
What's up? You want a motion? Somebody
Yes.
looking at me?
Mhm.
A motion to adjourn.
Second, we are adjourned. 6:21. We have the 6:45 in the council chambers. All right, cool.
See everybody down there.